All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a legal battle that's being called more than just a lawsuit. They're calling it a paradigm. It's a wild story about how the very systems we count on to protect us could, allegedly, be turned against us. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so this whole thing really starts with one number, and it is a huge one. $201 million. That's the jaw-dropping amount of money that one man claims was methodically taken from him, not through some simple scam, but through what he calls a sophisticated legal machine.
So where does a number like that even come from? Well, it's pulled directly from a legal demand letter that accuses a whole network of companies of being a continuing RICO enterprise. And just to be crystal clear, that's a legal term. I mean, we're talking about a law that was literally designed to go after organized crime.
So what is this all about? At the heart of it, you've got a guy named Keith Hartl, and his claim is that, over a period of years, he was the specific target of a calculated, coordinated scheme designed to do one thing: strip him of his properties and his assets. So you've got Keith Hartl on one side. And on the other? A group his lawyers are calling the Dialog Network. Now, this isn't just one company. We're talking about this whole tangled web of different LLCs and trusts that the lawsuit alleges are all ultimately controlled by the same handful of individuals.
But here's where it gets really interesting. People are looking at this case and saying, hey, this isn't just a one-off thing. An analysis of the whole situation suggests it's actually a blueprint, a playbook even, for a much bigger and, frankly, more disturbing strategy. They're calling it the Hartl paradigm.
And this document? Well, this is what blows the whole thing wide open. It reframes the entire fight. It's not just a lawsuit anymore. It's alleging a 2-decade campaign against the Hartl brothers, and argues that it wasn't a bunch of random problems, but one of the most sophisticated examples of a strategy it calls modern equity stripping. So what in the world is modern equity stripping? Well, think of it like this. The allegation is that it's a team sport, but a really nasty one. You've got government agencies, the courts, and private companies, all allegedly working in concert to build this impossible maze of legal and financial traps, all designed to bleed a property of every last cent of its value.
Okay, so to really get how this is supposed to work in the real world, the lawsuit puts one specific real estate deal from 2025 under a microscope, and it lays out this dizzying chain of events.
And you gotta look at the timeline here because it's fast. I mean, lightning fast. An initial deal gets signed in early February. Just a little over a month later, boom, a legal notice clouds the whole property's title. Then, in a wild 48-hour sprint in April, a totally new contract gets signed and the original one is just gone. That speed is a huge part of the allegation.
And this right here, this document is key. This is the paper trail. It's the official release of that first deal, signed and sealed on April 3rd. Now think about that. It happened just one day after a brand new contract was put on the table. The lawsuit claims this basically allowed them to swap out the entire deal right from under him, right in the middle of everything.
So a key tool they allegedly used here is something called a lis pendens. It's kind of a fancy legal term, but what it really is, it's like putting a big red stop sign on a property. The moment it's filed, it tells the whole world there's a lawsuit, and that can make it almost impossible for the owner to sell or even get a loan. It creates incredible pressure.
And this is really the heart of that whole paradigm idea. The argument is that these real estate games weren't just happening on their own. Nope, the complaint says they were timed perfectly with moves from city agencies to put maximum pressure on Hartl from every possible direction.
And get this, for an example from the filings. On one side, you have all this contract chaos going on. And then seemingly out of nowhere, the city hits him with a water bill for over $36,000. The crazy part? The property allegedly hadn't had water turned on in 7 years. The lawsuit says this is all part of a strategy to just completely overwhelm him.
So you might be asking, how could anyone even pull this off? Well, the legal filings point to this incredibly complex, confusing web of corporations. The whole thing, they claim, was deliberately built to move money around, hide who actually owns what, and make it nearly impossible to see who was really pulling the strings.
And this is what they're calling the Dialog Network. You start digging into the public records and you see all these different LLCs, these different trusts, but they all seem to point back to the same couple of people. It's the structure that the lawsuit claims was used to make all this happen. Now, to kind of cut through all that corporate noise, you need to know about something called a statutory agent. It's pretty simple, really.
Every single legitimate company has to have one. It's their official, public point of contact for any legal stuff.
Okay, so this table isn't from this specific case, but it shows you exactly how this can work and get so confusing. You can have one person, one single name, acting as the official contact for dozens and dozens of completely separate companies. It creates this corporate maze that's almost impossible to figure out from the outside.
Right, so all of this, the weird timeline, the city bills, the web of companies, it all builds up to the lawsuit's biggest, most explosive claim. And this is what's behind that massive $201 million number. The allegation isn't just that some rules got bent, it's that the entire legal system was used as a weapon.
And here it is. We're back to RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. And I've got to say it again. This is a federal law that was created to take down organized crime. So to use it here, you're not just saying someone broke a rule. You're accusing them of forming an enterprise to conduct a pattern of criminal activity.
Just look at this list of claims from the demand letter. It's not just one thing. You've got civil rights violations, fraud, abusive process, the whole shebang. But that RICO claim, that's the bombshell. That is what takes this from a normal business dispute and elevates it to an accusation of organized crime.
And here's why that RICO claim is such a huge deal. If a plaintiff actually wins a civil RICO case, the court can award what's called treble damages. It's a fancy way of saying they can triple the money. So that $200 million, suddenly you're looking at a potential judgment of over $600 million.
So, at the end of the day, this whole case leaves us with a really unsettling question, right? And it goes way beyond just this one lawsuit. If the very rules and institutions that are designed to protect us can be twisted and used as weapons, well, how can anyone really feel secure? And if this truly is a paradigm, you just have to wonder, who else is out there, caught in a game they don't even know they're playing?